Hearty welcome to our esteemed panelists and all the participants at this session on digitization in manufacturing at the NASSCOM International SME Conclave 2020. Friends, Industry 4.0 is emerging globally as a powerful force and is being touted as the next industrial revolution. It is characterized by increasing digitization and interconnection of products, value chains, and business models. Industry 4.0 is driven by an amalgamation of emerging technologies like Internet of Things, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, advanced robotics, additive manufacturing, sensor-based technologies, and cyber-physical systems. Industry 4.0 is the bridging of physical and digital world through cyber-physical systems. This will result in smart factory, which is characterized by versatility, resource efficiency, ergonomic design, and direct integration with business partners for manufacturing. Friends, the global smart manufacturing market size was valued at US $216 billion in 2019 and is expected to witness a CAGR of 12% from 2020 to 2027. With the advent of Industry 4.0 revolution, there has been a significant transformation in the manufacturing sector in the form of digitization and automation. The growing demand for knowledge-based manufacturing and connected supply chains, which are equipped with advanced control, sensing, and simulation capabilities, are driving the growth of smart manufacturing. Moreover, Industrial Internet of Things, IIoT, cloud technology, and industrial analytics will play an important role in fostering market growth over the forecast period. It is a pleasure for me to welcome our esteemed panelists today. And friends, first of all, I would like to invite Mr. Uwe Weiss, the CEO of WEISS GmbH, for his presentation. Over to you, Mr. Weiss.
Yeah, good afternoon and welcome from Germany. Hello, Mr. Nath, and hello everybody. I think first of all, I would like to give a short introduction about myself and of course the company. I would like to share the presentation. Just a moment. Okay, it seems we have a problem with the presentation at the moment. The share screen is not working at the moment.
Yeah. Well, you can just go on the share screen and click on the application window and share your presentation through that.
No, it's not working.
So, sorry, what's happening?
It's not working at the moment, the share screen.
Okay.
Maybe we can continue with the other introduction first.
Okay, then you want us to come back to you.
Yeah.
Is that okay? We can...
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, friends, I think we will have Mr. Weiss joining us shortly. And next, I would like to now invite Mr. Jonathon Azzopardi. He is the president of the Laval Tool and Mould Limited. So hearty welcome to you, Jonathon, and we look forward to your address now, Jonathon.
Good evening. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, Jonathon, yes.
Thank you. Greetings from Canada. It's a pleasure to be able to speak to you all the way from here. It's just always an honor to be able to meet with my Indian colleagues. And to all my panelists that are here, thank you very much for meeting with us today. We're talking about Industry 4.0 today. Industry 4.0 is nothing new. You know, we've been integrating systems into our workplaces since, you know, the 1980s. But what makes Industry 4.0 different today is that Industry 4.0 is the collision of human and digital minds coming together, and that's what makes it so amazing. So although culturally India and Canada are different, and I can speak to that. I've made many trips to India, and I live in Canada. Industry and manufacturing is the common language. It's a common cultural group that we share. And Industry 4.0 is like the language of the culture. And that's how we see it. We see Industry 4.0 as the common language that, even though we may be miles and thousands of miles apart, Industry 4.0 is going to allow us to have a common language, regardless if we're culturally different. So the video I'm going to show you is going to be not so much about my own company. I'll give you a little bit of a description at the end, but about how Canada perceives Industry 4.0 and the coming together of those two worlds. So if you could cue up the video, please.
So friends, we're just having a little bit of a technical glitch with the video of Jonathon. In the meantime, I would perhaps like to, we can have Mr. Stefan Hoppe, who's the president and MD of OPC Foundation. Mr. Hoppe has joined us from Germany. So we welcome you, Stefan, and we look forward to your address, Stefan. Can we have Stefan Hoppe joining us on the stage, please? So it looks like we are having...
Hi, Mr. Nath. Sorry. We're just checking. There's a little bit, because I think we're connecting through the international networks. There was a little bit of a glitch. There you go. Over to you.
Yes. So Stefan, hearty welcome to you, and we look forward to your address now, Stefan. Stefan, you're muted presently. Yeah. So I think Stefan, sorry viewers, I think because of we have international speakers from Canada and Germany joining us, so there are some. We have Mr. WEISS back on stage now. Mr. WEISS.
Yeah, sorry for this. And once again, a warm welcome from Germany. For my introduction from our company, I would like to give you a short view on the world of WEISS, as we call it. What we exactly do, I think, could be easily nowadays be seen on our virtual trade show. I think virtual trade shows, as a good example of digitization in manufacturing, a great experience to get together nowadays. And what we are building is, we do build handling systems and we build robotic systems, and we combine those systems with our indexing platforms and smart conveyor machines to provide solutions to various industries. With our experience in the market for more than 50 years, we are able to provide not only machines, but also a lot of experience. And when we look at our history, we have been strong in hardware, in machine building for more than 50 years. And what we also did is we started building our own software to run these machines. For me, however, digitization in manufacturing is a great chance, really, as it's a vehicle, a strong channel to add value to our ecosystem. And our ecosystem is on the one hand, the integrator who builds a complete machine, and on the other hand, it's the operator or the end user who runs the machine. So for us, digitization in manufacturing, as I said, is a great chance to get in touch with those people, to have opportunities to add value to this ecosystem. Our roadmap, therefore, for the next 5 years, touches 4 major topics. The first one is, of course, digitization of the organization to offer smart sales and services. Based on digital twins of our products, we will be able to provide smart services around our products. The products themselves, they have to be connected, of course, so smart products is also another featured strategy part. And when we are connected with customers and the data of the customer, of course, we will be able to provide services that allow better business decisions in the future. My name is Uwe Weiss. I'm with the company for 20 years. The last 10 years, I was focusing on enlarging the footprint of WEISS worldwide. I hope my journey will take me the next 10 years from mechanical engineering to software and digitization. As mentioned, we are where our customers are today. So we have 4 lead factories. In Germany, we are headquartered close to Buchen, and look out of the windows here in Germany. As you can see, we have strong winter time already here. Going back to India, I'm very happy that we were able to open up our campus in Pune at the beginning of the year. And for me, it's a very, very interesting time. It's a great time. I think when digitization in manufacturing is taking place, this is a unique moment because I think especially for German Mittelstand or medium-sized companies coming from machine building, it's a great chance to really meet now talents and new companies in India, because for me, digitization in manufacturing, it's about combining machines with software and IT. It's about partnerships on the same level. It's about connecting and collaborating. And it's not only about the big guys, the big companies, especially when we talk about SMEs. It's more about people and ecosystems. So for me, it's again a great pleasure to be here on these platforms, because I believe India offers a lot of talent for us in the future. Thank you very much. Okay.
WEISS, thank you for giving us an overview of the activities of WEISS. And viewers, we should also congratulate Mr. WEISS. They started the operation in India in the month of March, and just before the lockdown, I think. So thank you, Mr. WEISS, for showing your confidence in the Indian market and the Indian industry with this investment in Pune. And we wish you and your team in India a lot of success, especially in Industry 4.0 and digital transformation. Thank you, Mr. Thank you. Friends, now I would like to call upon Mr. Stefan Hoppe, who is the President and Managing Director of OPC Foundation. So welcome to you, Stefan, and we look forward to your address, Stefan, on the activities of OPC Foundation.
Thank you so much for the invitation and the welcome also here from Germany. Normally, I would love to be in India also. I have been there a couple of times. But in these crazy days, obviously, it's a pleasure to join here virtually. I give you a short overview on the digitalization for the manufacturing world, because I personally believe it is out of 3 factors. And one of the previous speakers from Canada mentioned, well, it's like a language in different areas, and every country has its own language. Yeah, that's maybe true. And everybody has a little bit a different understanding also of digitalization and what is Industry 4.0 in detail. But what I truly believe is, at the end of the day, we need something global, and we need the language where we all can agree on and where we all can just then connect and exchange data. And this will not be a protocol. Everybody believes, oh yeah, we just need IT, we need technology to exchange data and so on. But you know what? There's not one single protocol in the world, not one single IT protocol in the world, really scaling from sensor up to cloud and back, fulfilling all the requirements for that specific area. This is also what the OPC Foundation has figured out long time ago. And that's why we believe on that standardized information is the key for Industry 4.0 and the digitalization of the world. And now you might think, yeah, but OPC Foundation, you thought that OPC UA is always a protocol. And the answer is no. Or maybe a little bit better description, OPC UA is much more than just a protocol. But even if you would order a machine or a device like an RFID reader or a robot, or even if you offer software services just with OPC UA, this is not enough. Because then you just have the transport layer. And again, to give you a short introduction on this OPC UA technology, and then what we do with partners, and together this will lead to this global language. OPC UA is exactly an infrastructure. It's not a protocol, it's much more. It's an infrastructure allowing to exchange data from sensor to cloud and back, obviously, with integrated security end-to-end, but which is moving the standardized data on different protocols. So OPC UA, once you have defined the data, you can move that data via TCP, UDP, AMQP, MQTT, and it's open to be extended for different use cases. Which also means OPC UA will never be finalized, because we are always building something on top and as a balconia to grow into new areas. For example, right now we are extending OPC UA with deterministic, with functional safety, with motion control to go down more into the field level, not only in factory, but also in the process industry world. And this will be visible in the market in multiple years, where you see multiple of these devices in a certified way. Yes, it will take time. Standardization always takes time. But today, since 2007, where first products have been available on the market, you can connect them easily, independent from the market, independent from the vendors, independent from operating systems or implementation languages. And this is critically important, to have such an infrastructure which belongs to nobody. Nobody can influence it by a company, not a specific country can influence it. So we call ourselves a little bit like we are acting like the United Nations of automation in the best meaning. Because the small company has also just one vote as a big company. The second pillar I want to talk about, who is now defining the data? And so that's why you need strong partner ecosystem. For example, we are collaborating with a lot of partners, and they have their ecosystem to standardize data. For example, where I believe this is the biggest gravity center of the world right now for defining and doing this global production language, which is the VDMA. They have more than 35 groups in different markets, robotic, injection molding machine, and so on. And 29 of them are already working, have released, or are currently working on describing data for OPC UA. Which means at the end, you have, for example, I mentioned robotic, you have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 robotic companies. All of them provide an OPC UA server in their robot, but sharing the same semantic, identical information to the outside world. And this exactly is offering to the IT people in the world, but also for horizontal communication, the smartest idea, the smartest way to exchange information, which is the key for the digitalization. It's not the protocols. We need multiple of them, and there will come new ones in the future. This is not the key. The key is how to exchange in a safe way standardized information. And this is what we do with partners together. And so the benefit is to reduce engineering costs, to have a simple plug and produce out of the box. And For big data, where you want to collect data and analyze your machines and the behavior, how to optimize your processes, well, OPC8 together with the companion specifications with the descriptions is exactly providing the key, because you know what the data mean. It's not only defining the data, it's also the meaning of data and the behavior of the data. And this package is exactly what we believe is the success of the world. And we are a proud partner here of the VDMA, working on this goal to have this global production language. And it is already adopted in the world, and connecting your machines to Microsoft Azure, to SAP MES, to Google Cloud, just to mention a few OPC Foundation members, just takes 8 minutes. With this short keynote, I like to thank for the invitation. Obviously, I'm staying here for further discussions, but I hand back to you. Thank you so much.
So thank you, Stefan, for this, I think, very interesting address, and explaining also how open platform communication can actually help in communication amongst the machines. So thank you for this address, Stefan. During the question answer session, during the panel discussion, we'll go a little deeper into that. So friends, with that now, I would like to invite Mr. Jonathon Azzopardi, who is the president of the Laval Tool and Mould Limited. Jonathon, pleasure to have you with us. You're joining from Canada, so thank you for being here with us today. And Jonathon, we look forward to your address now.
Okay, again, hopefully you can hear me just fine. I was going to show you a video, and unfortunately the video couldn't queue up, so I'm going to do my best to describe it, but I promise you I'm not going to do half as good a job as the video would have. So Industry 4.0, what does it mean to the industry in Canada? You're going to see that what we believe Industry 4.0, the underlining culture that builds Industry 4.0 is partnership. Something that I think Canada has always been very well known for is being a good friend, being a good partner. So what we've done is we've taken certain industries and associations and we started to bring them together, in some ways forcing them to work together. You would have seen that the Canadian Association of Mold Makers, which I'm also the chair of, is now partnered with Automate Canada. And why is that significant to the conversation that we're talking today? Because that's an industry that is connecting with Industry 4.0 by connecting with another industry. We believe this is the example that the world should adopt. The previous speakers started talking about the integration of systems. What we see is the integration of sectors and industries. So in the video, you would have seen that regardless of whether you're construction, whether you're machine tool, whether you're parts manufacturing, the Industry 4.0 is the collaboration of those industries coming together. We talked about the digital and the human minds coming together. We believe that the solution on how to do that is bringing industries together. That is how we believe that we're going to move into the future. And the example that we have at Mold Makers, that some of you may are familiar with, that's what my company does. We make molds and we make parts. We're a composite parts solution provider. So if you're in the space of light weighting, you're converting aluminum or steel into it does. But a component of that is automation, design, manufacturing. Years of manufacturing, but now you have management. And the combination of those two, we believe, is the part of your industry. I took my vision and you started to look at that in that model. We literally have, within 4 hours of where I'm standing today, we have the entire industry from raw material to finished product. So for the future, for Canada, and we believe it's not that much different for India, is the continual integration. Believe that will be the future of Industry 4.0. So again, I'm happy to be able to stick around and answer any questions on what we see as the future and the journey of Industry 4.0. And again, thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Jonathon, for your explanation and also for mentioning about the situation of Industry 4.0 in Canada and how Industry 4.0 can help and support the smart manufacturing. Friends, I would now like all our speakers to join on stage. so that we could commence with the panel discussion. Mr. Weiss is there. I would also request Mr. Stefan Hoppe. Can we have Mr. Hoppe also joining? Okay, I think in the meantime, as let's just wait for Mr. John, but let me put the first question to you, Mr. Weiss. Mr. Weiss, when we talk about Industry 4.0, actually it requires businesses and organizations to adapt a fresh thinking mindset, understanding the power of interconnectivity realized by these new technologies. What are your views here, Mr. Weiss, on this?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Nath. I really think it requires a lot of fresh thinking. I can remember over 10 years ago when Steve Jobs presented the first iPhone, the first smartphone. It really changed the complete industry, or the maybe complete world in this area. And I do think what we are now entering the next decade, it's about really changing just pure machines into IoT platforms or smartphones, and I think this is a great story we are about to get into it. But I think this is a great story, and also requires a lot of faith, because we somehow all step into a little bit of unknown. It requires partners, because we cannot do it alone anymore, especially medium-sized company. We have to get together with partners, collaborate in order to engage new technologies. And I think also it requires a lot of people, because it's a great transformation we are stepping into it by doing so. So yes, I do think it does need a lot of fresh thinking, what we are about to do in the future.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Jonathon, let me come to you now. What we've seen in the last 7 to 8 months, Jonathon, has been unprecedented, actually. So due to COVID, there has been disruption of businesses, of economies due to the pandemic. Now, in your opinion, Jonathon, how can smart manufacturing make or help the companies to be more resilient for the future, or for future disruptions also, Jonathon?
Well, it's a good question, and to be honest with you, what the last 8 or 9 months has shown us is that how much we depend on the human element, right. And the human element, although it is thousands of years developed, it's still very sensitive, and it's critical, but it's easily disrupted. So what we've seen is that although the last 9 months have really pushed us to our limits, Industry 4.0 is more important than it ever has been. The ability to be able to control our machines virtually, to be able to work from home, to be able to control machines regardless of what country you're in, to be able to use data management, to be able to make decisions, even though we're not in the physical space of where the decision is being made, has really shown us that Industry 4.0 and data collection, communication, connectivity is more important than it ever has been, because we are so susceptible to something like a virus, and that it can disrupt the entire world economy. So for instance, 50% of your workforce could be working from home today, and that's not unusual. So how are you going to do that, still be effective, and still be able to make good decisions without ever being in the physical space that you need to be in? This was just really a reminder that, although we don't want to depend on machines and we don't want to depend on the internet, it is a critical part of manufacturing. It's no longer just, the eBays and the Amazons who depend on the internet. It's industry, it's manufacturing, that if you disrupt that connection, you could stop working today. So yes, it really has pushed us, I think, to push the limits. I mean, today is an example, right? I would typically be in India 2 or 3 times a year. I haven't been there once this year, but yet I still have to do business in India, and I still have to be able to function in India. But so I have to be virtually there, right? So Industry 4.0, I think, is a possible solution to making the world a little bit smaller. And Industry 4.0, like we said before, could be the common language that we all use.
Thank you, Jonathon. Thanks for these insights, Jonathon. Stefan, let me come to you. You spoke about interoperability. So the challenge is how to connect the shop floor with the top floor or with the business enterprise system, Stefan. So here, what role do you see OPC we can play, Stefan, in this?
Well, remember what Mr. Weiss mentioned before. Steve Jobs had great ideas.
Right.
And he made it, from my point of view, he made the interaction with the device easier. This was his personal biggest
achievement.
Vision.
Yeah.
But today we are living, even on the smartphone world, in different ecosystems. Once you selected Apple, then you stay with Apple forever, because the connector to your Apple device is same on the iPad and the phone and so on. And this is what I no longer like. I want to live in an open ecosystem where you have the same connector, and it doesn't matter if your phone comes from Apple or Samsung or whoever, to mention a lot of them, and Lenovo and Google and whatever, right? So I don't want to make advertisement here. But the vision is, and this is also what you have to transfer in the manufacturing world, to break off the silo and the ecosystems and have a general connector like the USB connector or the USB-C connector now, where you just plug and produce. And this is not just a physical connector, it's also what kind of data behind are exchanged. And this is exactly what the OPC Foundation's job is, acting as the United Nations, because in our world, we have OT companies, all the big 50 worldwide companies of the world are inside the OPC Foundation, but also with the IT companies and the production companies. So just to mention, Samsung, Foxconn, Volkswagen, Renault, and so on are members of the OPC Foundation and requesting this. So this is the role of the OPC Foundation.
Right. I think I really liked your statement, like United Nations. I think that really would help our viewer to understand also the role of OPC Foundation. Thank you, Stefan. Jonathon, coming to you. When we are talking about Industry 4.0, Jonathon, we are talking about convergence of real and virtual world. So we are talking also of getting conventional and modern technologies together in manufacturing. Now, what challenges do you foresee here, Jonathon?
In India, particularly with the cultural differences?
Yes, of course, in India, but generally also because we are talking about modern technology and, for example, legacy machines also. So how do you get it together?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. The first struggle is the human element. I'm going to be really honest with you. So when we started on our journey for Industry 4.0, Industry 4.0 wasn't even a term. So in the 80s, it was the conversion of how we used to do things by hand, starting to go to CNC. That was a big problem. It was just getting people to trust the technology, to be able to allow the technology to do what it needed to do, knowing that there were going to be failures along the way. The human element was probably the hardest element. Fast forward that to, let's say, 10 or 15 years, now we're taking paper off the floor, and having people put their trust in technology is now a big struggle, right? People don't want to let that paper go. They want to say, well, just in case, that file gets deleted, I got to keep a stack of paper behind me. Those are two really simple examples where technology has surpassed what the human being can do, and the human being must now let go and allow technology to do what technology needs to do. I think that the further you are from that, the harder you will be to adopt Industry 4.0. So the human element is first. The machinery element, I don't believe, is as difficult to convert. Today, we use robots to do most of the things that we cannot do. So technology is replacing, but it's also augmenting. That's a big difference. I don't know how it is in India, but I think it's similar. That when we describe technology replacing humans, humans become very uncomfortable. But when we can say that technology can do what humans cannot, the adoption happens so much quicker and so much faster. It's like giving humans superhuman strength. That's what Industry 4.0 does. And the future of Industry 4.0 is flexibility, not only giving us superpowers, but giving us the ability to do things that wouldn't normally be done on the same piece of equipment. For instance, additive manufacturing, right? A piece of equipment that can save lives one day, but build parts for an aircraft the next day, or create things that we couldn't do with conventional machines. that's the future of Industry 4.0, and that's really what should be exciting us.
Right, right. Thank you, Jonathon. Mr. Weiss, Jonathon mentioned about the human element, which is a very important part. So what I wanted to ask you, Mr. Weiss, is when you're adopting Industry 4.0, so the existing workforce, Mr. Weiss, there's going to be a lot of skilling, reskilling, de-skilling of the workforce. So how, as an organization, as a company, how difficult or easy it is to get the workforce also into this whole gamut of Industry 4.0?
Good question. So thank you. I think, it is about the skill set of the people, but I think it's much more about the mindset of the management. When we started our journey to digitization 5 years ago, I really experienced that it's not about only a piece of software. It's about something more. I think it's in changing really the entire business model of your company. So I think the mindset of the leading person of the management is crucial to all of this, because only if you take the organization to a journey and create a culture where an environment where change is possible, only then you can do the next step and adapt the skill set of the working people. So I think, skill set is one thing, but the mindset of the organization for this huge transformation is really important. And then I think you also need to find partners, to find pioneers, to build up lighthouse projects where the organization can see what it is all about, and then also connect to new topics. And so I think it's much more than just a skill set. It's, I think, really is adapting a new mindset. It's about a big change in your organization, and then step by step, I think you also need people, ambassadors, that connect between machine building and IT, for example. I can remember 5 years ago when I was sitting on the first conversations with IT people coming from a mechanical background, I couldn't really understand a single word they say. So it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes, again, I think, strong leadership and an open culture to do this transformation.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Stefan, many times what we see, especially in Industry 4.0, of course, there are one of the challenges, it's certainly easier to implement for a greenfield project. But Stefan, what do you do where there are existing old machines, legacy machines, especially when we look at the machine tool industry? So how can this be well integrated together? That was my first question, Stefan. And the second question is, many times what we have, you have the data, but if the data is not analyzed properly, it is just numbers. Unless you are able to draw conclusions from the data, analyze the data, it will remain numbers. So how can this data be effectively utilized, Stefan?
Yeah, great two questions. And now please allow me, because maybe we are in similar ages, right? And right. If you remember about 30 years back, right? And we had these 8x86 computers, and the keyboard had the big DIN connector, and the printer had Centronics, right? Yeah, you are smiling. It was the old days, right? And at that time, suddenly the USB mouse came out on the market. What did you do? You didn't throw away your computer. You had no money for that. I had no money for this. So you took the small green adapters, and you put the USB mouse into the green adapter and then into the PS2 adapter in your old machine. Obviously, you are not just changing machines and changing controllers, PLC controllers in your machines just to be OPC UA connected. No money, no time for this. So you are using gateways. Gateways could be physical gateways in front, or could be just a software gateway, could run in a virtual machine. But here's one important hint. It is not just a gateway from the old world to, for example, OPC UA-enabled gateway. This is not enough. I highly recommend, and this leads us to the second question from you, the gateway must be able to load an information model, to structure the data, to expose it to the rest of the world. I'm a robot. I'm an injection molding machine. I'm an RFID reader. Exactly the companion specifications, which is together the global production language. And this exactly leads to the second question. And this is the key. OPC is not just delivering data. With data, you have good luck that you have data, okay. I still know a lot of machines which are not connected. Somebody has to move there manually, write on a paper, then go to his desk and send an email, right? So if your machine is connected, that's great. But you definitely need the meaning of the data and the behavior of the data behind. This is the key. Otherwise, you are lost. Jonathon needs data to simulate and to analyze data. That's his business. So OPC and the companion specifications are just an enabler for him to really get the benefit out of it and analyze the machines and so on. So this is how you can see it, right?
Let us stay on the data aspect. Maybe, Stefan, one more question. With so much data, we are talking about big data, a lot of data being generated. What about there is the threat of security? I think that plays the important role in the minds of the people. You have a lot of data, but how can you keep this data secure, Stefan?
And this is also what we started by design from begin. OPC has security built in by design. And by the way, I don't know if everybody is aware of that. Because of the relevance of OPC for the Industry 4.0 initiative, the German BSI security infrastructure government analyzed OPC, the specification and the code, and published everything. You can look in the web for the results. And also other security experts in the world analyzed the security and said, hey, this is perfect. It is open source, so you don't have to trust the black box. And it's touching, we didn't redefine the wheel. We didn't define our own security concepts. Instead, we have used existing international security standards and just integrated them into OPC. So you have transport security, application security, and user security. Who is allowed to see and access what kind of data? So this can be even done for auditing mechanisms later on. And this is one of the keys of today's world. If in earlier days, we unplugged the cable of the modem, right? And we thought, oh, now we are secure. This is no longer working. This is no longer working. And so you have to trust technology, and you will never trust the technology if it's just a black box, a hardware box or software box. It must be open. Otherwise, nobody believes there is no backdoor inside and so on. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Stefan. Jonathon, coming to you, you mentioned about your connect with India. And as you know, Jonathon, India is also, we have this program of Make in India, where we are where the aim is to increase the contribution of manufacturing in the GDP of the country. And the Indian government is also actually looking at schemes for implementing Industry 4.0. And so, Jonathon, let me ask you, between Canada and India, where do you think, in which areas can this cooperation take place to enhance digital transformation or to enhance smart manufacturing Industry 4.0?
You know, Rajesh, that's a great question. It's a question that I love to answer by the fact that I think that India and Canada are perfect partners. And what do I mean by that? Canada has been a country that's always punched above its weight because, you know, it's only less than a 40 million person country, which is slightly over the population of Mumbai. But yet we have all of this technology, we have all of these raw resources. We're in the top 3 countries in the world, you know, producing talent for AI. We have manufacturing that's state of the art, but our own internal consumption is nowhere near capable of consuming what we can do. So we're not a threat to India. We're a great partner. And that's what I mean by, you know, the technology that we're developing will never be used in Canada. It needs to land in places like India or the United States or Europe in general. So India has the ability to consume at such a high level, but doesn't have the method by which to meet their goals. If you now bolt on a Canadian partner, and that's what we're trying to sell with our own company, is that we do composites. And India still relies so heavily on steel, aluminum, old conventional ways of producing products that we don't have to be in India to help you. The Made in India philosophy is great. It's a good way to augment and increase manufacturing in India, but you're going to need partners like you have on the panel today. When I was a young apprentice, actually, I remember using WEISS handling equipment, material handling equipment, and now we can use that with OPC and being able to not only handle the materials, but we can now bolt on the ability to be able to data manage what's going on in the machine. These are the partners that need to come to India, but not actually set up shop in India. India has the ability to see its fruition to its own goals, but they need partners like us. And we need to do this, right? It's a mutually beneficial opportunity for both of us, because we need to export our technology. You need to implement technology. So in a lot of ways, we are perfect partners. You are where the United States was, let's say, 50 or 60 years ago. You're where China was, let's say, 10 or 15 years ago. Yeah. The difference, I believe, and I know I'm on a panel with open concept and everybody's listening to this, India has the ability to create friendships. And I believe that's the one thing that I really experienced when I was in India is that they need partners, but they also need friends. They need partners that will work with them to grow, not to take what they have, but to help them do more.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Great. I think a very nice statement, Jonathon. We are coming close to the end, and let me put a quick, I would request short reply maybe from Stefan. Stefan, we heard about Jonathon speaking about partnership. So how can the Indian IT skill set be married with the German technology, and how can we make this marriage last so that we don't lead to a divorce, Stefan?
Great question. You know what? I truly believe that standards help exactly smaller and medium-sized companies, because you can sell in a bigger ecosystem. Instead of having just a standard done by, hopefully they are not angry on that, just done by the big elephants, by the Siemens, by the Rockwells, by the whoever's, right? No. They are participating. Siemens was one of the first companies implementing OPCUA, but so with this means that also smaller, medium-sized companies, also in India, can enable their product with this and sell it into the world market and partner here. Again, they don't have to pay money to the OPC Foundation. We are non-profit. We are earning nothing on that. Everything is open and free. Go with open source, go with toolkits. You have great knowledge inside India with great companies giving training and expertise inside OPCUA in India. So I think this is a real good starting point to sell in this bigger market. And for Made in India, it would be a pleasure to partner also with the OPC Foundation, because this is what we do also with all the other initiatives around the world. So Made in China 2025, the Singapore people, Korea, everywhere OPCUA is a national standard. And for me, it would be a pleasure to also cooperate much more with India.
Thank you. Thank you, Stefan. Mr. Weiss, coming to the last question of the day. Mr. Weiss, we talk about smart factory. Can the smart factory ultimately become smarter than humans?
Maybe, yeah, maybe depending on the human, but just kidding now. I think when smarter means more clever, more intelligent, I think if we really follow and the idea to make machines open platforms, open IoT platforms like smartphones, I think then a huge community can add much more intelligence. I think this is something very special. So it's not only the operator who stands in front of the machine, it's a huge community that can contribute to the intelligence and the smartness of the machine and of the factory. And I think from then we can really explore and see much more potential in smart factories than we ever had before. So I think, yeah, it's a good chance, but it's something to provide open standards, open communities, access to machines and smart factories, and I think it's a great chance for this.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Weiss. So with that, I would like to thank NASSCOM for organizing this very relevant session, and I would like to thank all our panelists today, Jonathon, Stefan, Mr. Uwe Weiss, and also all our participants who have logged in to hear this. And I would like to end with a quote from Helen Keller. In fact, she was the first deaf and blind person to get the Bachelor of Arts degree. She said, "Alone we can do little, but together we can do much more. So friends, with cooperation and togetherness, much more can be achieved. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay optimistic. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.